Back, everyone. We have Dan Hodges here, our Johnny Appleseed Park District extraordinaire, and we're going to be talking to all things maple today.
I am so excited because this is the season, folks. We're in it. This is the maple sugaring season. And, you know, before we get into the delicious part of what we're going for here, I like to start kind of where this sugar started in the first place. So maybe you like syrup on your pancakes. Hopefully you like
Who doesn't?
Maple syrup on your pancake, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about. It's the maple sugaring time. And this all started last summer or before. It started in the leaf of the tree. So here we have maple trees, and there's lots of trees. We can talk about sort of the different things that we can use these other trees for. But the maple tree specifically harvests, all trees harvest the energy of the sun through a process called photosynthesis. Listen, this is back to high school and 7th grade. This is a long time ago, folks. But they're using the energy of the sun through a process called photosynthesis to essentially take the carbon off of carbon dioxide and the hydrogen from water and stick them together to make carbohydrates. That's sugar. They're making sugar using energy from the sun. And that releases oxygen. We need oxygen. That's really good too. But what we're after today is the sugar produced by this photosynthesis. So trees, all trees are doing this. All green plants are doing this. This is an incredible thing. All of these organisms, everything green out there is using the energy of the sun to create sugar. And that's what we want access to. So there's a few trees that you can actually harvest the sap from. And this is a really fascinating part of the thing. So here, hold that up real quick.
All right.
Because what's happening inside of the tree here, if you look inside of the tree, what's happening is this interior portion of the tree is made up of a tissue called xylem, and that xylem is carrying water and minerals up to the top of the tree, and then the leaves are doing stuff, and there's things happening in the phloem on the outside of the tree during the summertime. But what we're after is that xylem layer, and inside that xylem, in certain types of trees, not every tree, but in certain types of trees, there's cellular structure that allows this tree to create pressure. And so what happens on cold, freezing nights is the interior portion of the tree starts to, as it freezes, it starts to contract. There's gases in there that contract, and it draws sap up into the body of the tree. So as it's freezing, it's drawing sap up into the body of the tree. And then when it starts to thaw, there's lots of extra sap up here, and it's gotta go somewhere. And so we poke a little hole and let that sap come out. A couple of trees do this, create this kind of pressure. Not every tree does, but maple trees are our favorite because they got the most sugar content in their sap. You could do this with birch trees and walnut and sycamore. You could do this with a couple other trees. It would just take a lot more work because there's not as much sugar. And so because of that freeze-thaw of cold nights and warm days, we're creating pressure inside of the tree. We're poking a little hole in there, and we're getting sap out. And so here I got a little sap, and this is a little cloudier than the sometimes sap that I've seen. But let's try it. So here we go. We're sap's up here. So here we go. This is some sap for you.
So you give me cloudy sap.
Yeah, here's a little bit of sap for me. And you can try it. This is literally straight from the tree from yesterday's tree. Here we go. Try it. And it tastes like water with a little, I don't know. What do you think? Okay.
Well, I mean, it's cold.
There's a little bit of sweetness in there, just a little bit of sweetness, because most of the sap is made up of water. 97% of it is water. So just a little bit of sugar. And so the process of making maple syrup, we'll talk about that a little bit in a couple of weeks, but that process is trying to remove the water so that by the end, you're left with just a little bit of syrup. Here, I'll show you the syrup. Look at this. Ooh, yeah, that's delicious. You know what? I thought, why don't we try this in our little cones?
So
Here,
this is the real deal.
Yeah. So once you've removed the water, this sap becomes this syrup. Here we go. Try this. There we go. Delicious. I love it. You got to love it too. And this is all the product of the tree. It's just what come out of the tree, and we took the water out. A lot of times your table syrups, those are corn syrups that are flavored with some other things. So maple syrup comes out of a tree, came from the leaf. It's a really fascinating process. And it's happening right here in our backyard.
Honestly, this tastes a lot different than store-bought, like.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, it's, listen, I'm a maple purist, and I think it's way better. But listen, everybody likes different things. And corn syrups taste sweet, too. But that maple syrup, there's nothing like it.
This is really good. Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Glad
Learning
to be here. Listen, we got to go outside, and you might have a maple in your yard. You can tap that, too.
That sounds good. All right. Well, don't go away, because we have more when we return.